better.
It's time to call the November Elizabethan Board of Education meeting to order. And at this time, I would ask that everyone please stand if you're not already. And I'll ask Mr. Van Hust to lead us in a moment of silence and the pledge to the flag.
Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it's time to approve the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve consent and regular agenda.
Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion, any movement on any items? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next, time for citizens to speak, and we did not have anyone asked to speak to address the board. And so we'll move on to special recognition. And if you'll hold on after special recognition, we'll give you a special opportunity to go home if you want to do that. So,
Except if you're seated up here.
yeah, we have to stay. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Van Hust.
Okay, so to start with, we're going to recognize Mr. Gabriel Short. So if Ms. Googe, if you'll come up. And Dr. Mitten.
I told Gabe I was proud of him tonight for a couple things. His recognition that Miss Googe is going to talk about, and the fact that he's got a really sweet jacket on, and I've got one just like it. So I don't feel as old as I thought I was. But no, I found out about Gabriel's his honor to be selected in National Honor Choir. It's a big deal. It's the first in school history that we know of. So yes, for this particular one. So it's a really big deal. It's also something that's very competitive. And so anytime we have a student, whether you'll hear from some of our athletes tonight and other areas too, anytime we have a student who reaches a competitive height like that and advances through with other students competitively, we're always incredibly proud. I'm going to let Ms. Gooch talk just a little bit about that process and about how he got to where he is. We're just, again, proud of Gabe. So Gabe, step over here.
Good job, brother. Okay, to be eligible to audition for the National Honor Choir, you have to have made All-State the year before. And then you have to go through a whole audition process. It was pretty intense, actually, wasn't it? Only a certain number are chosen from each state. This has only been going on about 10 years. And he's our very first one from Elizabethan High School. We're very proud of you. They'll be doing it. They will be doing a virtual presentation to be released in March for Music in Our Schools Month, and that will be shared nationwide. So we'll be certain to get to see that at Elizabethan. Gabe, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let's stand here for a picture. Next up, Coach Newman and cross country.
You always got something to say.
I didn't know I had to speak. I'd have prepared a speech. I didn't prepare anything to talk about. No, this has been a very unique year for us. We were able to qualify our guys cross-country program to a state cross-country meet in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and it's been the first time in 14 years that the guys have qualified as a team. So that was a big feat for our guys, and we have got a lot of young guys. We got 3 sophomores, 2 freshmen, a junior, senior. So we've got Got a lot of other guys that's going to be coming up next year, so that'll be great for our program as well as the girls. We will be losing, of course, one of the seniors from the guys, Isaac, and two of the seniors, Reagan and Caitlin from the girls. So going to have to do a little bit of rebuilding. So if you got anybody that you know that runs cross country or likes running, tell them to see me. I definitely put in the good work. So this is our program, and we're excited. We're looking for better things to come even next year and the years to follow. So thank you, guys.
All right, some of you probably need to step up on this one step up and then slide over in front so we can take a picture. That'd be great. Guys on the second row, whatever, or whatever. That's the girls get in front, guys. Yeah.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Next, we will recognize the girls soccer team. So, Coach McClay, you can make your way through that massive humanity. Girls, come on up. Yeah, so you all don't need instructions, do you? You've got to figure
I've
it
got
out.
a microphone. Dana, tell me when to stop talking, if you will, okay? If you've heard my speech the last couple of weeks, or this team over the last 2 weeks of the season played 5 games on the road against 5 upper-seeded teams. What did we travel, 650 miles over 2 weeks on a school bus? And came away with 2 upset victories, and then got within 6 minutes of penalty kicks to get to the state tournament. So they persevered, refused to lose, and had a great finish to the season, and we're all very proud of them. They could have given up against Tennessee High, did not, scored those 2 goals in the last 15 minutes, which propelled us to get to that sub-state game. So if you would, give these girls the hand that they deserve.
Thank you, Coach McClay. And now we'll recognize both the boys and girls golf teams. Coach Harden, Coach Enzer, if you can come on down. Golfers, don't be shy.
I get to go first. Okay, first let me say I'm very proud of these young ladies. When I took the job the first of the year, I thought it was just something to fill in for somebody because they didn't have another coach, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. What a wonderful year with a great group of kids. I don't want to say they overachieved because I knew the talent was there when we started, but one of the best memories I'll ever have in coaching is on the 7th green when Ashland hit a putt there and we qualified for the region against the likes of DB, Science Hill, and all those teams. And I just can't say enough about this group, and we had a lot of fun on the side, didn't we? What a wonderful year. Thank you, ladies.
And the guys, it was really just a great year. We actually ended up winning the district. We come in first. We beat Science Hill and Dobbins Bennett. So in the district, Caleb was second, Carson was third, and then in the region, we come in third, but Caleb shot a 1 over to tie for second, and he qualified for the state. And down there, he turned in 2 great rounds, represented us very well. So please give these guys a big round of applause.
Dr. Minton, are you going to recognize Carson one more time? Carson?
This guy's going to need a long introduction, more than likely, because you've probably never seen him or met him before. I wish I could stand up here and take credit for his guitar skills and his singing skills, but I can't do that. We're so proud of Carson. As you know, Carson entered a competition. I'll tell you just a quick story about the voice. So it's not uncommon in the office for a student to stop by to have a discussion with an administrator or school counselor or anything like that. So one day I'm sitting in my office, and Angie comes around the corner and says, "The student's here to see you." And I said, "Okay, we'll just have him come on around." I see it's Carson. So I said, "Hey, buddy, come on in." So he comes in, he stops, and he turns around and looks at the door. He said, "You mind if I close the door?" Which raises the anxiety level a little bit from time to time, just depending on, what's going on. I said, "Yeah, man, that's fine." So he comes in and closes the door, and he says, I got something I need to tell you, but you can't tell anybody." I was like, "Golly, man, what's going on?" So he gets a piece of paper out, and he puts it on the desk. And long story short, it's just a waiver to sign from the school that Carson would stay committed to his academics and his coursework, which he did in a good way while he was gone. But I had to keep the secret along with him for a little bit of time before the initial rounds and the recorded parts. But it was a really neat experience, just, Carson, seeing you perform on a world stage, really. And then coming to school the next day and seeing this guy walk down the hall. But, the unique thing about Elizabethan that I know, and I think everybody in this room can attest to, is that the uniqueness of our community and our town and our school is that we can have somebody on TV one night and we can have somebody walk in the halls just as a student the next day and appreciate both sides. And so we're incredibly proud of you, Carson. You're going to contribute to your own story. We're kind of glad we got in the way of your story in some ways, but at the same time, you're going to go on and do big things, and you're going to be part of our story down the road. So something else big coming out of Elizabeth, and we can't wait to see the direction that you go as a result. So let's give this guy a round of applause like he needs.
I just want to say thank you to everybody and just really the whole town for having my back the whole time. I really felt supported the whole time, even after the loss. And I'd come to school the next day and everybody was congratulating me. So it was really cool, and I'm really blessed to live in a town like this.
Picture.
And again, we just want to say thank you to all the parents for handing us your most prized possession, to be able to perform and represent our community and our school in such a positive way. Elizabethan is just a neat place, and it's a great place to wear orange and black. It's a great place to line up and hit a ball, bounce a ball, kick a ball, do whatever, or sing a song, play an instrument. It's just a neat place. And so congratulations again to all of our student athletes and to Carson on the voice and being an athlete too. What a neat night to be able to celebrate all of this. So again, thank you. One more round of applause for all of our kids. And as promised, if you really want to stay, you're more than welcome. But right now, if you need to go, this would be the time to head out the door. So, thank you. Yeah, Mike's sitting with all his friends. Takes a while to get that many out of here.
I mean, we need to recognize junior high, cross country. We need to recognize West Side, that cross country group. We need to recognize Tcat. I don't know where we're going to put them all.
But he made it.
They talked to me.
have a meeting down here.
It has thinned out a little.
So we're down to your
It
report.
has thinned out a little bit.
Okay, but you're gonna recognize him. Yeah. Yep, sure will.
Excitement is over.
All right. Again, we'll move on, and the next item on the agenda will be reports, and we'll go ahead and have the director's update at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pless. What a great way to start the meeting. You think about all the activities that we have going on in the fall. I mean, you think about what the band was able to do, all these athletic teams, the individual performance, the talent. I mean, it's just incredible. Again, in this little small community, the amazing things that are going on, and that doesn't even touch what's going on every day in the classroom. So it's just, but we all know that the extracurricular part's a big part of the whole high school experience, and that is extremely important. And so we appreciate all the people that work with their student athletes and our students in those other endeavors. To begin with, I'd like to share with you some good news that finally our ESSER 3.0 application has been approved, and that was also attached in your consent agenda for approval from you as well. Also our TN All-Core application, the ARP Homeless 2.0 application, and the consolidated application. So appreciate all those individuals that worked on that, spent so much time putting that together to get those approvals. Also, again, just want to let you know that we're continuing to work on the 5-year strategic plan that I mentioned, I think, last month, and we'll continue to put that together, and there'll be more information that we'll have available on that after Christmas. I'm looking forward to the TSBA Leadership Conference and Convention that several of us will be leaving for on Thursday. Also want to say thank you to Mr. Bowers for being here to discuss the creation of the EHS Teachers Memorial Scholarship by Ms. Hoagland. So we appreciate that very much and look forward to hearing more about that in a few minutes. I also wanted to let you know, you may have heard about the creation of the Elizabethan Alumni Association. That is moving ahead at light speed. We're very excited about the group of board members that we have. There's going to be tons more information coming out about that very, very soon. Just to give you a rundown, thanks to Dr. Mitten, Mr. Pless, Nicole Moore, Rusty Melton, and Dustin Hensley have spent all kinds of time getting us to this point. And I can tell you that Angela Murray is the president, Jason Hawley is vice president, Sarah Presnell is the treasurer, Rachel Wagner is the secretary, and then we have 2 other board members, Andrew McKeon and Tim Broyles, and there's a possibility that we may add a couple other board members as well. So we're excited about the opportunity that to bring graduates back together, but not only that, but we think there's a great opportunity to leverage those graduate experiences, and that the students that we currently have in Elizabethan can feed off those experiences, whether it be something that they've done in their career, just some life experience, or just a whole host of ways. So we're very excited about what this will mean to our school system and our students as well. Last thing, Mr. Thompson is here this evening, and he's going to share kind of a brief synopsis on some of the state accountability results with you, and that's over here on the board. And what we'll do, once this is completed, I will email you out a copy of this so you'll have that information as well. So, Mr. Thompson?
Good evening. Good to see you all. Hope everybody's doing well. I was at a father-son outing with my son over the weekend, and I knew I liked the minister whenever he started out with dad jokes. So it always makes me remember I've got to tell a dad joke. So, actually, I had 2. I'm afraid for the calendar, its days are numbered. Why do fathers take an extra pair of socks golfing in case they get a hole in one? All right.
Yeah, okay.
Now to the better stuff. So can y'all see that okay? It's kind of hard for everybody to see it. So we've had a ton of data come out over the past months, and Dr. Newman and I crunched some data. trying to put it into, like Mr. Van Huss said, just a quick synopsis, kind of where we're at, how Tcats, EOCs rolled out for the year, and then a little bit more data on top of that. So first things first, we look at it two different ways. We have achievement data, and we have what they call TVOS, which is growth. And the way the state defines that as TVOS, it measures the student growth year over year, regardless of whether the student's proficient on a state assessment or not. So how much do they grow from the point they arrive in one grade to the time they end in that one grade? So it's 1 year measurement, and that's how we receive the growth. Achievement is, it measures the mastery of the student on the actual standards being taught. So how well did that student do on that given test at that given date? So that's how they measure achievement. So it's two different ways, and we get results in both ways. Start out with English language arts, and this is the district view, and this is from grades 3 through 8, as well as our EOCs, English 1 and 2. You'll notice the state is in gray, so the bars that are gray are the state performance average, and that's for 2021. And we wanted to show 2019 Elizabethan City Schools as well as 2021. And 2019, you'll see that we were well above, so you'll see that we actually took a dip, and we would blame that on COVID, some of the losses because of COVID, and the performance change over that year. However, you'll notice in orange, that's our 21 data, and how we actually outperformed the state, even with the drop, 21, we still outperformed the state in every grade and EOC over the 2021 data. So even though we took a dip, we still outperformed the state on that average.
And I'd like to point out there too, if you notice several of those categories, we did take a dip, but it wasn't very significant, which again points to the great work that our teachers did all year long under extremely difficult circumstances.
You're looking at a lot of students that were virtual half the time, all the time. So the instruction, like Mr. Van Huss said, is the instruction for teachers, their work was double as they're trying to instruct virtually as well as in the classroom. If you look at math, same thing, we outperformed the state in all categories except Algebra 1. We did take a bit of a dip. You look at Algebra 2, 21, we're at 23.1. We actually jumped 8 points in the COVID year per se. So above the state and outperformed the 2019 data. As you know, there's no 2020 data in here because of the testing lapse. But again, some categories not too far off, but we did still outperform that state average. And I'll keep highlighting that because of the tough year it was. It's still, Elizabeth City Schools still did very well. And this is achievement. This is how well they did on that test that day they were given. Science, again, district view, grade 3 through 8, and then biology 1. You can look at grade 6, pretty close, took a little bit of a dip below the state in our middle school areas, but elementary specifically outperformed the state by as much as 20 points or better. And science was the latter grades in science, that was a trend across, there was a bigger dip. That trend was across the state as well. It just wasn't with Elizabethan City Schools. We saw a dip in those grades across the whole state. Social studies, you'll see it started at grade 6. The early grades were put on pause for social studies. You'll see where we were in 19. And then again in orange, states the grade. And performance is very well. You'll look at U.S. history actually, 21 outperformed 2019 data again. So different interventions, changes in positions and restructuring has added to that a lot.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
refresh my memory. We had, were we at 95% participation rate across the district?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a
Yeah.
slide here for that.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's coming up. But state grade us on participation rate, so how many, I'll jump to it in a minute, but how many students we tested, and it was 96%. The threshold was 80%, so a system had to get at least 80% of students tested with Tcats and EOCs, and we hit 96%, which is, again, it's a huge testament to the school administration as well as our testing coordinators. Each school has a big feat to pull off.
That's always been, I think, a big thing for Elizabethan, is that if we're asked to test everybody, that we're going to do everything we can to do that. We're not going to try to
Absolutely.
hide things or anything like that, so.
Yes. So T-Boss, we're looking at growth. Again, that's how much a student moves from within a year from point A to point B. So not necessarily how they did achievement-wise, but how much they moved. And you'll see we have our different schools listed here. Each one, we have the black is district. So overall composite is all subjects combined. 5 is the highest you can get. As a district, we're a level 2. And then you can see it broken down by schools, where we're at. We also break it down numeracy and literacy. Literacy, numeracy, and then they add in literacy, numeracy as one as a whole. They average those in. So numeracy, math, we trend pretty high, pretty strong in that category. Literacy, it's something we're continuing to work on. Even though some schools may have high achievement in literacy, the growth was lower. And sometimes you'll see schools that are higher achieving, which may score a lot higher on that test at the given time. It's actually harder to show growth with those students. But overall, again, with the year we had, not a bad picture.
An average one-year growth, what should that be? Is it a number 1 or what?
5 is the highest, the best.
Right, but I'm saying a normal one-year growth from 3rd grade to 4th grade, should it be a 1 and 5 is they just really overachieved, or what's the norm on it?
I mean, average, you're probably looking at a 3,
Okay.
would be what you consider an average. And then, of course, 5 being the best or the highest. But again, it's not the harder thing to explain is, so higher achieving schools, kids that come in, they're scoring higher on the test. It's harder to show that growth from 1 year within that 1 year period. So just because a school may be a 1 in growth, they may have blown it out the door on achievement. But all that gets averaged together. In a normal year that we'd have accountability as well, that would show within those all accountability procedures, but still not a bad picture, especially with the year we had.
I think if you'll notice the green bars there, that's east side. So they had 5s across the board. So that's, Mr. Hurley's not here tonight. They're having a 2nd and 3rd grade musical performance tonight. So that's why he's not here. But we're very, very proud of them and what they're able to accomplish. 5s across the board.
And state rankings, so how we compare to the state overall, in the black is 2019, and then in 2021 with the orange, so out of approximately 150 school districts across the state, this is where we fall as a district, which is really well. You look at, well, here's all, we're at 17 out of 150 school districts, which is a lot to celebrate. Across the board. Now the orange, we put ED in here, so economically disadvantaged. Not quite as good as the all category. And one reason we put that in there, there's a trend with that. You'll see it when it comes to chronically absent students. A lot of our chronically absent students are that ED. So it has the more they miss school, the more they're missing instruction, and that tends to drive that number up. So that's the reason we put that in there, but across the board, 17th, ranking in all school districts across the state, that's a lot to celebrate. I'm sorry, 35 this year, 17, but still very good results. Chronic absenteeism, again, in the year of, keep saying it, COVID. So chronically absent students, if a student misses approximately 17 to 18 days in the school year, that's unexcused, excused. If they hit that mark, they're considered chronically absent with the state. So do a comparison to the state for the past 3 years. And if you'll notice in 19, Elizabeth City Schools were 11.6% of our students were chronically absent. That's roughly 250 kids. So even as hard as it was up to 2021, we're at 15.4% of our students were considered chronically absent. Seems high, still below the state average. And again, the year we had, still not bad results for the amount of students. And again, a majority or a high percentage of those students were economically disadvantaged students. And that's something we work with hard when it comes to unexcused absences. That's one thing we work with the core system quite a bit. And our tier system has changed, so we're getting them in core quicker if they're hitting those marks, specifically on the unexcused side. And that is another number that's on our state report card. Just one thing that's reported out and it's available to see. And one thing Mr. Van has talked about, Tcat participation rate, we were at 96%, above the state average. That threshold was you got to at least hit 80%, and we were well above that. And again, the hard work that went in from our schools and our testing coordinators, because they went above and beyond to get school or kids in to test, made specific schedules to get certain kids in to test, and just a reflection right there. Some of the highlights, just want to pick up on again, ELA, all grades, BCS outperformed the state average. Math, all grades but one, we outperformed the state average. Social studies, all grades we outperformed the state average. One thing I did want to highlight is chronic absenteeism. Our 3 elementary schools averaged only 6% of their students that were chronically absent, which is huge. One of our elementary schools only 0.3% chronically absent. Another one was at 10%, and another one was at 6% chronically absent. So very few of their students were considered chronically absent in a huge year where many kids didn't want to come to school or learn. And then the last thing I hit it again, the Tcat participation rate, which was huge. That's it. Any questions from you all? And there's a ton more data. I mean, it's just busting at the seams. We try to compress it. And I think what Mr. Van Ness may send out may have even a little more data for you all to look at. If you have any questions, please email me, call me anytime. We're happy to discuss it further.
I think we have some other data that we'll share with you that kind of shows you how we performed in Northeast Tennessee that thought might be helpful for you as well. So we'll share that with you as well. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That's it for me. Thank you, sir.
Board member reports. Anybody have anything for this month? We may have more next month after attending the convention, and hopefully we'll have some good things to share there. I do want to remind those board members that are going to the convention, please see Felicia before you leave tonight. She's got some stuff, so we need to make sure that's taken care of. Okay, next, Mr. Simley, City Council Liaison. Good evening.
I wish I were still in as a student, but that's okay. Thank you this evening. I know Mr. Van Hus was at our meeting last week for our city council. You didn't stay for the animal shelter workshop.
I did not stay for
You
that.
missed a 3-hour fun fest. But in any case, if you've read the paper or been keeping up with the local news, the city's in the process of purchasing the Summers Taylor's construction complex. And the reason I'm bringing that up to school board is because that's going to loosen up a lot of the buildings that we have that we're using with Park and Rec. And the reason I'm saying Park and Rec is that, as Mr. Van Huss is aware, we've been working with Park and Rec on some batting cage area and also a building, I think it was for the baseball team, or for some use for the baseball team. So I'm saying all that Richard's very involved with us at City Council. Appreciate you being there.
Yes.
But again, stay with us, keep tuned in, keep asking questions. We're very close on the Summers Taylor's project, and it looks like we've already voted on one. We've got next month to our second round of voting. I feel confident we'll pass that, and if we do, we'll have ownership of that property. We do have another piece of property that's adjacent that I understand that we're working on. If we get that, Park and Rec will be moving into that building, and if they Park and Rec move into that building, it's going to loosen up again, just more things. So hopefully here, December, January, come see us, let's talk, and we'll talk about the baseball team and some needs that I know that they have. Secondly, I did bring up at the meeting, I'm a businessman, okay? I do forecasts, I do budgets, and I spend money. We all spend money. They laughed at me when I was complaining about our forecast. We've got a wonderful finance director. Preston Cobb is just a fine young man. Of course, they're all young to me. I'm an old man. But Preston does a great job, but our forecasts have been way under actual revenue income. And every month we've had anywhere from $100,000 to maybe $200,000 under forecast, which is good. But again, if you are running a department, I know I run a department, I have budgets I work with, that we want to forecast and be able to say, work on T.A. Duggar. So we need that $4 million or $6 million, whatever the number is. So I'm pushing City, I'm pushing Preston to give us revised numbers year to date. And Richard, once I get that, I'll forward that to you. And I know you've been keeping up with your budget because, again, we've got more money coming in than we had forecasted. That's on our half-cent sales tax, and that's on our city income. And we're very appreciative of that. But again, I'm a businessman. I want to have those numbers at least agreeing with or being a little bit closer. I suspect that we got almost maybe close to $1 million in excess revenue that we have coming in over budget. That's a good thing. Lastly, everyone's well aware, I hope, we've got an ice skating rink that is in transit. Matter of fact, it may be getting here this week or next week. Yeah. But with that, I just want to remind you, we do still need some volunteers. So if any students need some time, need some hours, let us know. Just contact any of us or reach out to Park and Rec. The Chamber is putting that together for us. We're so excited about that. And please come up and check out the ice skating rink. It's not real ice, it's synthetic, but still it's going to look like real ice. It's going to be fun. And we're going to be serving hot chocolate, and you can also have your pictures made.
Awesome.
That's all I have.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Okay, and then Miss Maggie, anything from Student Liaison?
So last month I mentioned the survey and results about that. So I've met with Dr. Mitten and Miss Ellis, and we've come up with something I think we're going to call Coffee with a Counselor. And it'll be during lunch period so students can come together and talk to Miss Ellis and just have another outlet and another opportunity so they're not, it's a little intimidating walking into the office sometimes, and there's adults in there. So hopefully, just if there's more students around, it'll be more comfortable to go in and talk. And so it's just another way to make them feel comfortable.
Awesome.
So we've been working on that.
Well, good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. It's time to move on to the regular agenda. First item to approve is to approve first reading of revised board policy 4.212, virtual education program. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion and a second?
Second.
Second, all right. Any discussion, or you want to give us?
Just real briefly, this is a policy that just outlines what the parameters are for us to have virtual programming. This does not address a virtual school. Again, if we did a virtual school, we have to get a school number from the state. There's an approval process to go through. But as you can see here, it outlines the following purposes that we can utilize this for. For instance, academic remediation, someone that's on homebound, someone who is in quarantine, and also the alternative school. So it just outlines exactly how we can utilize virtual programming in the school system. So,
okay. Any questions about that? Okay. The item is to approve first reading of revised board policy 4.212, virtual education program. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next is to approve auditing contracts with Blackburn Childress and Stegall PLC for the 2022 fiscal year for the for Elizabethan Board of Education in the amount of $21,200 and school activity funds in the amount of $15,300. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, and do I have a second? Second, all right. Discussion.
Again, these are just auditing contracts, again, for these particular funds. We're very appreciative of Blackburn Childress and Stegall, and they are very hands-on. They're always there if we have any questions on the front end. Their guidance is essential to what we, the financial part of what we do here, and I know this is certainly the recommendation of Mrs. Wilson, the finance director, as well.
Okay. Any comments or questions on this area? Okay. Item is to approve auditing contracts with Blackburn Childress and Stegall PLC for the 2022 fiscal year for the Elizabethan Board of Education in the amount of $21,200 and school activity funds in the amount of $15,300. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Next item. To approve Reedy and Sykes contract to complete architecture designs for the baseball hitting facility. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Second. All right.
So Mr. Simmerly just made an allusion to this earlier. And so, as you know, where we started, there were discussions that began with the school system and Park and Rec about the possibility of building a joint facility adjacent to Joe O'Brien Field. And throughout that process, we were working with Reedy and Sykes on that design. Well, again, as Mr. Simmerly alluded to, things have changed at this point based on the availability of the Summers-Taylor property. And because of that, it looks like this facility would just be for the school system. So when that happened, we kind of had to shift gears. The city was kind of handling the architecture part. We were going to pay our part to finish that. But since it's now ours, we just felt like we needed to have a contract just with the school system. The bulk of the work preliminarily was done, and so it wouldn't really make sense to change at this point. And they've certainly done a good job on the design. It's fairly straightforward construction. So what this would do would allow us now to finalize those drawings and be ready to put the project out for bid to see where it would come in. Trying to think anything else there. So it's been a little bit different. There are some questions that we're still working with the city on about the property itself, because the property where we would do this construction, the city school system does not own it. It's city property, but not city school property. So what exactly does that look like if we build a structure on property that's not ours? So we're working with the city on exactly what we would need to do to make all of that fit and work. So.
Have a cost on just completing the design, you know, where we are on that?
Yeah, so roughly their portion to do all this work would be $24,800. So when you think of, idea maybe around a $200,000 project, it's somewhere around 10%. But, when you have a project, quite frankly, a construction project that's small, sometimes the fee looks larger because there's certain things they have to do, whether it's a $200,000 project or a $10 million project. So, but they're fairly close to being able to wrap a lot of this up. And if you'll, in the proposal, there's of course the design and development, and then there's doing the construction documents, bidding, negotiations, and then actually overseeing the construction. So those are the big chunks that haven't been completed at this point. Again, the preliminary work was done in cooperation with the school system and the city.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. The item is to approve Reedy and Sykes contract to complete architecture design for the baseball hitting facility. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, to approve the Director of Schools to enter into contract negotiations with RICO for copier services across the district pending any required governmental approval. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second? Second? All right.
Okay, if you'll notice in your supporting documentation, we had 3 different companies that bid on our copier needs. Ricoh, Kingsport Imaging Systems, and Novatech, which is the current contractor that we use for those services. And after doing a comparison, each one of them are a little bit different. The monthly maintenance costs are a little bit different, but if you'll notice on the sheet we provided, once you factor in the monthly cost and then the cost per copy, I did a rough comparison on the number of copies that we used last year. And if you'll notice, there's a range between, like, say, black and white copies from 0.004 cents to 0.008 cents, depending on which machine you use. So, for instance, there are some desktop units included in this pricing. So if I'm doing a large print job, it's going to be cheaper for the system if I send it to one of the large copiers. It may cost me a few extra steps to walk down and get it, but it's much cheaper rather than running those 200 copies on the unit on my desk. So what I did is I just averaged each copier range, and I played that out based on the copies that we made last year. And Ricoh came out as the low bidder. And not only that, I didn't even factor this into the initial determination on which was cheaper, but there's also almost $30,000 in rebates that we'll be able to get back on the devices. So again, we're leasing the devices. It's not a lease to own, it's just to lease the devices during the length of this contract. So the wording of the motion may have you in question, but there was some discussion between our attorney and the city attorney whether or not, because it was a lease for a physical item, similar to the discussion we had on the video board, whether or not city council had to approve that. And after speaking with Mr. Day, based on some language in the city charter that basically says a school board operates and functions in place of the city council when it comes to budget items. So based on that, there is no other need for any other approval. So once you approve this, you'll allow me to go in and go ahead and finish up a contract. So there's some contract language we want to make sure that's in there. And so if you allow me to do that, that will allow us to move forward, get that finalized, and then we'll bring that final copy back to you for approval as well. Questions or comments on that?
So just a significant savings is what you're anticipating?
Yes. Again, these are rough calculations, but I'm thinking somewhere around $20,000 to $25,000, and that doesn't include the rebate per year across the district.
Okay.
And if you want to get a teacher riled up, just don't let the copier work. I mean, you're asking for trouble. That hear any amens out there from administrators?
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
and when they need it right then. They don't need it, 5 minutes from now. But anyway.
All right. Anything else? Okay, the item is to approve the Director of Schools to enter into contract negotiations with Ricoh for copier services across the district pending any required governmental approval. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve adding an assistant wrestling coach for T.A. Duggar Junior High School. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
A motion and a second.
Second.
All right. And
Yep, these are always great problems to have, but participation at the junior high level in wrestling is up. They have over 20 students that are participating in that, and you can imagine the nature of that activity. You've got guys and there's certain moves they're learning, and it's really hard for one person to be able to lay eyes and monitor all of those individuals at one time. So,
Do you have numbers on the participation there? At
20, roughly 20 at the junior high. So if they're paired up, that's 10 pairs that may be of wrestlers that may be wrestling at once, and so that's really hard for any one person to manage. So we'd appreciate your consideration on this. It would be in line with other similar assistant pay scale.
Any comments or questions about that? Others?
I didn't want
Yeah.
to speak out of turn. I just also wanted to add that the fact that not just that there's 20, but it's also there's boys and girls wrestling. So I think that's important to mention too when adding the position. I think that's going to help.
Great point.
Where do they have their own, do they just use the gym essentially, or where does T.A. Duggar?
Starting last year, they're actually practicing at a church, and I can't recall the name. It's right there behind the courthouse.
It's First Free Will. isn't it? Is that
I
right?
bet they have a gym, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have mats we've taken down.
Yeah, they have put some mats. I'm not sure about the arrangement right now, but that should be what they probably still doing.
Yeah.
Worked out really well.
And it's tough with one gym in a building. I mean, it always has been, always will be, to have all those winter things. All right, anything else? Okay, item is to approve adding an assistant wrestling coach for T.A. Duggar Junior High School. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, discussion and approval of new EHS Teachers Memorial Scholarship by Margaret Hoagland. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, and a second.
Second.
Second. All right. Now, recognize Mr. Bowers. You will come, and I know you've provided some materials for us.
We did, Mr. Chairman and Director Van Huss and members of the board. I'm Greg Bowers from here in Elizabethan. I'm a proud alumnus of the Elizabethan High School, and I'm honored to be here again. I was here 4 years ago representing the EHS class of 1957 at the time that they started the class of 57 scholarship. And I'm here again with Margaret Hoagland, who is a member of that class of 57 and who's presenting a new plan of organization and agreement which has been prepared and submitted for your consideration. Margaret is making a sizable contribution which will serve as seed money for a scholarship to be known and designated as the EHS Teachers Memorial Scholarship. The purposes of the proposed scholarship are both to hallow the memory of our beloved teachers who have passed and to honor those who remain who have influenced the graduates of EHS to have continued success in their respective careers and who have encouraged their students to continue their education beyond the high school level. It's Margaret's hope and expectation that the interest generated on the monies donated to the scholarship will provide monetary assistance to chosen students who intend to pursue a post-secondary education at a college, university, community college, or vocational technical school. At least one annual scholarship in the amount of not less than $500 will be awarded to a graduating senior at EHS. Margaret expects that there will be numerous additional contributions from other EHS alumni and their family members and friends, and from citizens of our community at large who support the causes promoted by the scholarship. Every year, the scholarship committee will publicly recognize at least 2 former EHS teachers selected by the scholarship selection committee to be remembered for their contributions to the overall educational experience at EHS, as well as at least one deserving graduating senior at EHS who exudes the qualities of perseverance and determination to succeed in a post-secondary setting, and who has a high moral character. Financial need may be a consideration and a preference when awarding a scholarship, but is not an absolute requirement. The Scholarship Selection Committee is charged with the responsibility of choosing a minimum of one deserving student at EHS during the second semester of their senior year to receive the annual scholarship award. In this regard, the committee is to be non-discriminatory in its annual awarding of the scholarship to the deserving student or students. It's hoped that such financial assistance will provide encouragement and hope to deserving students and to promote and reward the pursuit of excellence in academic skills, dedication, citizenship, and those individual qualities which inspire new generations of students to achieve future success and leadership in their communities. I'm most pleased to announce that in the event this scholarship is approved by you tonight, the first 2 teachers to be honored during this school year are Anna Kinch and June Harrell. I personally knew each of these ladies, and as some of you know, I'm married to June's daughter, Julie, who herself has been teaching at ETSU. She's in her 35th year. On Margaret's behalf, I thank you for your support of this worthy cause, and I commend Margaret for the sincere love that she's shown through her generosity to our school system and its students. Thank you. And Margaret may have something she wants to add if the board doesn't mind.
I'd like to say thank you for letting us present this, and I'm hoping that this scholarship would dovetail with your Alumni Association. And I'm willing to bet that every one of you have had teachers that influenced you, and you guys too, to get where you are. It's time to recognize them. And this would be an opportunity. You don't have to be a graduate of EHS though, but let's get a scholarship fund that can grow, and we will not give one scholarship, but ultimately maybe 5, 10. I have hopes of within 3 years of raising at least $100,000. I think we can do it. And I would seek your approval for this. If you have any questions, happy to answer them. I'm a product, though, of little EHS.
Yeah.
And we've got teachers that really need recognition. That's, I'm at the age now, you know, hey, we're on the banana peel, I guess. And let's give recognition before I pass on. I want to show the teachers that there is value in it, and that EHS has the best teachers. Any questions?
Oh, man.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And I will say, I'm fortunate to have both of those ladies, one at T.A. Duggar and one at EHS, and they were both wonderful. What great selections for those. So, all right. Item is to discuss, we have, and approve the new EHS Teachers Memorial Scholarship by Margaret Hoagland. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 And any opposed? And there are none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where's Beth?
She's right behind you.
Yeah, she's right behind you. That's some money, yeah.
Mr. Bowers, thanks for your work as well.
Yes.
Yes, thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
I've got to throw a shout out to Miss Bowers. She was one of the best teachers I ever had at ETSU, so.
Yeah, thank you. And you survived him, so that's good. Okay, yeah.
He's hoping you'll go back and change his grade. That's what it is.
I'm making her.
Okay, never mind.
She might change it, so, yeah. Okay, last item. Discussion of COVID-19 protocols. Can I get a motion to approve? Well, do we have to approve a discussion? We don't yet, do we?
Not yet. Maybe if someone makes a motion at some point in time.
Okay.
You know.
I'll just cut to the chase.
Sure.
So we don't spend a lot of time spinning our wheels. You know, the governor signed into law things that we can and can't do. I don't know what good it does. Wilson wants to break the law and go against the governor's law. But other than that, I'll put a motion out there if you don't mind. We can discuss if you want to. But first of all,
I'm not talking to you anymore.
Remove the mask procedures, protocols, and suspend quarantine guidelines pending additional guidance from the Tennessee Department of Health per what Governor Lee signed into legislation Friday.
Okay, so I have a motion for those two things. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second. All right, now, any discussion? I will say I appreciate our system and the hard work administrators and teachers did over the last 2 or 3 months. I think that what we did helped. We were in single digits on numbers. We have been for weeks now. And so thank you so much. And we'll do what we've been asked to do there. So any other comments?
We are eagerly awaiting that guidance from the health department on what quarantine will look like moving forward, but we'll await that, and we'll have more for you on that once that comes down.
Okay. So
Kind of out of our hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So did you get that written down, Felicia? Did you get it? So again, the item is to to remove mask procedures and to suspend quarantine guidelines pending additional guidance from the Tennessee Department of Health. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, and motion carries.
If I may say one other thing on that, you know, again, as a school system, we still encourage individuals that feel strongly about that to certainly wear a mask. The CDC still recommends, you know, a whole host of mitigation strategies, and masking is one of those, especially if it's in a high transmission area, and Carter County is still considered a high transmission area. So, but with that being said, there's obviously not any enforcement in that. Again, we're just encouraging, and you know, we don't want anyone to, you know, to feel bad if they want to wear a mask. We certainly encourage that safety measure.
Okay. All right. One other item then, and let me mention this: the next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Thursday, December the 16th, 2021, here in the Mac Pierce Boardroom at 5:30. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion, and we're adjourned.